about 200 swords just and so I had to go and fix that. That was a real pain in the butt. But anyway, I am back home, achy as heck from having to move lots of swords, install new shelves. And but still, hey, Merry Christmas to you too, Gritty Ohio, day early. But hope everyone is having an amazing Christmas Eve, hanging out with your families. Any damage? No, Cook. We were kind of worried about some of the cloud hammers because the styrofoam got bit into the cases, but they are actually, everything was fine. Hey, JT, great to have you here. Ambu, hey, what are you guys doing on TikTok on Christmas Eve? I didn't think anyone was going to come on tonight, but see all of our regular people here. Hello, Lauren. Hello, Angelo here on YouTube. Glad everything was unscathed. Everything except for me. My back aches like heck from having to move those swords. Mark was super awesome, came in and helped me. I was actually planning on going live a little bit from the shop today, but it just didn't happen. What do you think about movie 13 Assassins? It's been a hot minute since I saw this. I think it's a Takashi Miike story, but it's been a while. Take some ibuprofen. Hey, J. Jonah Grant and Jesus 1844. Yo, hey, I'm glad that you are all here. Do you celebrate Christmas? Heck yeah. Yeah, it's one of our favorite holidays. Lots of family come to town. And so, yeah, we celebrate Christmas. And kind of from a secular point of view, we aren't particularly Christian. Do you have Giyu's sword? Let me see. I do have Giyu's sword, but it's at the shop right now. I'm at home right now, so I don't actually have it, but we have we have 3 in the shop. I actually know this because I had to stack them today. Actually, we have 4. I remember this because I was having to stack them, but we do have Giyu's sword. Yeah, Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas to all of you. Thank you. This is one of the swords I've been featuring a lot lately because we've been talking about the Blue-Eyed Samurai again. Any custom Iaito? No, we don't really do custom Iaito. Those are kind of tough. So I would say for that, if you want a custom Iaito, go through Tozando or Noshudo. They do some amazing jobs. Let's see. Do you celebrate your Christmas? Yes, I do. And Merry Chrysler to you too. Merry Christmas. Yes, thank you, Study. That's it. Yeah. So anyway, I've been featuring this sword. I think it's really cool. It is a Tachi in the Water Dragon fittings. Water Dragon is one of the national treasures in Japan. Obviously, this is not. It's just a replica. And this one is made of 30% meteorite. So they pattern weld the meteorite iron with regular steel onto a hard core. And this sword is very expensive at $2,000 because it has a lot of meteorite in it. So this is probably the most expensive modern sword that we have in shop at the present moment. Though we will be actually getting a Saka version, which is also a pattern welded meteor, which will also be 2,000. So those will be the most expensive non-antiques we have in shop. So let me see Demon Slayer swords. I just don't have them here. I don't really keep much in terms of anime swords here at home. I have them in the shop. I just not at the shop. We'll be there on Tuesday. How much is that Tachi Cook? This one is $2,000. It is has meteor in it. Do you have any European Bronze era for comparison? Like a Bronze Age sword? Gosh, no, I would love to have a Bronze Age sword. Can we see your favorite antique? I am very happy to show my favorite antique. I'm going to put the swords up my Tachi rack. A lot of people have been buying my favorite swords. This is my favorite antique. This is a sword that could be anywhere from 650 to 800 years old. Let's see. Why did you not bring the Demon Slayer sword? I don't really bring I'm not an anime fan myself, so I don't keep it here at home. I just keep my favorites here at home. For example, this is a very long Tachi, once again, 650 to 800 years old, made by the, what family is this made by? I'm drawing a blank because I'm so tired. The Hoju school. Yeah, anyway, that is probably one of the oldest swords I have, Leah Drake. Restocking the Saka swords, we're having more coming. We just actually sold the last one. So yeah, we do have one high-end Saka sword. Oh, Cook, what number did you think you heard? John, you have more katanas than I do. Probably, well, at the shop, I definitely do. Let's see. Hi, I build the Saka boomerang. That's awesome. That's one of my favorite things ever. And what kind do you have is cool? I think they're all cool. Do you know how to use a sword in a fight? I'm passable. I'm not great at it. I'm going for S5 next, Steve. Pattern welded steel doesn't do much for him. But it's pattern welded meteor, Cook. Do you have any swords that are likely used in combat? I'm going to be getting one fairly soon. It was just shipped from Japan and has a battle scar on it. My friend said I would not be allowed to take my sword with me to Japan. Does anyone know why? Yes, study the arts. If it's a Japanese-made sword made of tamahagane, you can get it in, but there are some bureaucratic hoops you have to jump through. But regular steel swords are considered weapons, and you can't bring them into Japan. They will confiscate them. Let's see. Have you ever seen someone actually use three swords at once, like Zoro, in their mouth or in their butt cheeks? No, I have not. I have never seen that. What the sword that good to fight? Are you saying what sword is good to fight with? Let's see. I don't really have any good one. Actually, I do have some good ones here. What am I talking about? I have this one. This is a European arming sword, S5 shock steel. This one would do well in a fight if you know how to fight it. Do a scene from Kill Bill. I've never watched Kill Bill. Heavy sword. We do have some heavy swords. I have a pretty heavy sword here. Hey, Air Power. Merry Christmas to you. What is the biggest sword I own? Let's see. The biggest sword that I own. Let me see what GSUS says. Sometimes I think Goliath's 9-foot sword from a Bible. My brain makes it look like a katana. I don't think the Philistines were using such large swords. My biggest sword here is our largest sword in shop is longer, but we have this one over here, this long tachi over there, which has a blade length of 39 inches. But we do have one in shop, which is 47 inches long blade length. So that is the biggest one that we sell, but not the biggest one that I have here. Let's see. Do you get the S5 longswords? No, they are on their way, is my understanding, is they have been shipped. So hopefully I'll get them next week or the week after. Gladius swords, Voodoo, we do have one. Jesse, we have a Gladius in shop. We don't have one here. Let me see a heavy sword. This is my heaviest sword here. It is a two-handed jian. It is 8 pounds inside the scabbard, 5 pounds out of the scabbard. This is one of the things that happens in during the winter. Like all the metal fittings the scabbard starts to shrink, and all the metal fittings loosen up a little bit. So you have to glue them back on. Anyway, this is a very huge, Jesus Christ, very large blade. It's an 8-sided jian with Damascus patterns there. Very cool sword. This is one of my favorites. I just love the detail in the fittings. So check out the fittings there. Cast brass rather. Very cool. But that's my biggest, heaviest sword. The sword outside of the scabbard is 5 pounds, and the average katana or longsword is about 2.5 pounds. What's the best sword for fighting in home intruders? I would go for a Wakazashi personally. Do you have a light sword? I do. Let's see. Man owns like 1,000 swords, has never seen Kill Bill. Kill Bill just to me is too much disrespect to Bruce Lee, and as Bruce Lee being my hero, I cannot watch it. Favorite movie with the sword? Probably Twilight Samurai. Let's see. How many swords are in my personal collection? Technically, my business owns all of these swords, but the number of swords in this room right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. I have 51 swords in here. Actually, one belongs to Steve, who's here, so it doesn't belong to me. So I have 50 swords in here right now. That's a lot of swords, isn't it? Let's see. The heavy sword is $400. Can you show a couple of short katanas? Do you mean a Wakazashi? How much? Asks Uesugi. I'm not sure. Are you asking about the two-handed jian? Hand me one for one time. I'm not sure what to say. Favorite anime? I'm not an anime watcher, but probably Demon Slayer. Let's see. Nodachi? Yeah, I just showed some Nodachi. It's on my wall over there. Let's see. Do you have shank sword? I do not. The sword was from online. I don't remember what it is made of, but it's about 1.5 feet long. Technically, it is a short sword or dagger, but it was labeled as a sword. Yeah, that checks. GSUS, thanks for all the work you've done and helped clear up the fact I don't know anything about them. Mind you, fact check me. I am not always correct. I try to have as much correct information as possible. In that way, I think we are better than several of the dealers out there. They always put up all this ridiculous information. Let's see. Do you have shank? Let's see. Kiyomi gonna do Steve's new sword? I don't know, Cook. I haven't heard. I actually took the sword down to the shop yesterday to give to Kiyomi, but then she didn't turn up. No, we don't have shank sword. You have seen the movie The Sword. It's a Chinese martial arts flick. Probably. The smallest sword? What is your definition? It depends on how you define sword. Do you own sell European great swords like a claymore or a Zweihander? So Purple Pliant, we do have claymores. We don't have a Zweihander in shop right now. So let's see. Favorite cartoon growing up? Bugs Bunny, probably. Looney Tunes. Thoughts on getting on the GOAT Steven Seagal? I can't stand him. I really can't stand him. I don't think any of his movies are that good. He takes himself way too seriously, and I don't think particularly highly of his martial skill either. But ask me how I really feel about Steven Seagal. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Close combat katana. For close combat, you probably want to use. Depends how close are we talking. I can agree with you on the Stephen figure open. Not sure. Thoughts on T10 steel? Isn't it supposed to be very difficult to properly heat treat? No, actually, a lot. Well, okay, so let's be very clear here. When you see something that's marketed as T10 steel, most likely is T8, and T8 is a better steel for swords. T10 is a little too brittle. So usually T10 just rolls off the lips. It has that alliteration. So when someone says it's a T10 sword, most likely it's a T8, and it's just marketing. But T10, it's not that hard to heat treat compared to some other steels. And actually, the Chinese are so used to working with it that they can do a really good job with it. A lot of it is all about know-how. Let's see. Chad says, just saw the video with the Meow Dao. Don't know you had one, not on site. Phoenix Arms? Yes, that one is a Phoenix Arms. That girl was really short. She was probably like 4'11". So that's part of the reason why that sword looked so big. It wasn't that the sword was so big as much as she was short. I mean, it's a big sword too. Let's just say that. Hey, James Lance, Merry Christmas to you too. Do you have an old wood sword handle and stuff without the guard? Do you mean like a stick sword, Shikomizue? Do you have a machete? No, I do not. We have some tactical Wakazashi that look like machete. Actually, we sold out of them, but we are getting more. What we do have, I assume you're asking about this. We do have a lot of antique swords in Shidasaya. This one actually belongs to Sheridan Steve over there. He bought it, and we are going to ship it to him fairly soon. And it's a 600 to 650-year-old sword from the Nanbokucho period, made by the Uda family. Uda is not considered to be top flight, but they're still considered to be a good, reputable school. This one, you can see that the Kisaki, I'm going to try to catch the light really well here, that you can see the Kisaki starts right there. So it has what's called an Okisaki, a very long tip. Take that one apart and show us how to clean it. Well, you don't clean the tang, so I'm not going to clean the tang. Let's see. The Mikugi is coming out without me having to pop it. So here we are. Doesn't want to come out. Stuck. Okay, we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. Okay, it's a little stuck here. Yeah, it's stuck. It's not coming out right now. It's probably some of the humidity. It's been kind of here. So it's not coming out right now. Let's see. How much, and do you have another for sale? Yeah, these are all for, almost everything here is for sale. This one, I would normally sell it for about $7,000 to $7,500. But then I told Steve less, and so I wasn't going to change the price. But once I saw the blade and how healthy it was, I should have charged more for it. But it is a good one. I have another one that's not as healthy, but it's longer and more curved that I'm currently. I haven't actually officially listed this for sale, but it is for sale. You can see it has a really deep curvature to it. This one is 650 years old. It dates back to the early Muromachi period. I'm sorry, 600 years old, so early Muromachi period. Very deep, long curvature is the Kashu school. So it is a school that is based out of Kaga, which is in modern-day Ishikawa. So this one is 6,500. These are all certified by the MBTHK. This one is signed. It has a signature. It's kind of hard to see. Oops. It is kind of hard to see. And the Mikugi, I can pop the Mikugi here. Where's my Mikugi Nuki? I can only pop the Mikugi if I can find the Mikugi Nuki. So here we are. Let's take a look here. Bear with me a second while I pop the Mikugi open. And shoot. I just dropped the Mikugi, but I found it. And this one, I think, unless the humidity has, the humidity is really getting to these swords right now. So like all of these usually pop out really easy, but they're stuck today. It's just, I think it is I shouldn't say the humidity, it's the dry heat that we're coming from our heaters. But this one does have a signature on it. It is signed Katsuye, who was from the Kaga school up in now modern day Ishikawa, Japan. Okay, Sasha, let's see. Sorry. Let's see. Way, Spanish. Do you have any Spanish swords? Ask Study the Arts. I have a pair of antique Toledo rapier up there. That's about the extent of my personal Spanish swords. I have something that I want to say about one of your video katana is based on the Dao, or no, let me see if I can read this correctly. Something Shoudao, Huan Shoudao from the Han Dynasty. So katana is more like stepbrother to Tang Heng Dao. Yeah. Well, the Tang Heng Dao is, hold on a second. The Tang Heng Dao, so the Japanese, when they first started borrowing fittings from China, how should I say this? Their swords, early Japanese swords, were based on Tang Dynasty style swords. And then later, they sort of took on their own form. Between 700 and 1000 AD, you start seeing a transformation from Tang Dynasty style swords into what we would consider to be tachi. Let's see. For those antique swords, how much to send for repolishing and getting fittings and a saya made? Usually polishing takes a few years on back order from a reputable. Not necessarily, Sasha. It depends. If you go send them to Japan, it's going to cost you like about $100 per inch for the sword, and then getting fittings is going to be about $2,000. As a Westerner, I really appreciate the fact so many people from so long ago kept so many swords in such great condition. I have trouble remembering to change my oil. You and me alike, man. Hey, Josh the Diver, long time no see. The Jan came, Chef's Kiss, so light and balanced. That is a beautiful sword, isn't it? Isn't it, Chad? I'm glad you got it before Christmas too. Can we see what's not for sale? There are a few things over here that are not for sale. Hey, Jill, glad you survived your weekend. I am going to have to take out a mortgage on that one. Yeah, it's an expensive sword. Let's see. Do you own any rare gunto? I wouldn't say they're rare. We do have a couple of gunto. We have one gunto in shop that is for sale. It's made of railway steel. Were the antique swords used in fight? If not, what were they used for? So the sword for the Japanese were, and for a lot of cultures, they were usually the sidearm. And so pre-1400, the samurai were mostly mounted archers, and so they used the tachi as a sidearm. And then later on, 1400, they got the mass infantry. They're usually using pole arms like naginata and spears, and the sword was a sidearm. So not many swords were used in battle. I think a study has shown that about 6% of samurai died from swords, and so they were not commonly used. So let's see. Do you have any swords that aren't for sale? Yeah. Chinese culture swordsmithing is older than Japanese. The Japanese actually draw from Chinese arts. Yeah, this is true, but the Japanese definitely, they had to change things around based upon the particular type of resource they had. Have you or anyone worked with been asked to authenticate swords before purchase? I'm not the person to talk to about authenticating an antique sword. I can tell you, oh, that's an antique, but I couldn't tell you, oh, that's who made it or anything like that. So I'm not that good with antique swords. Let's see. Merry Christmas, Just Achievements. Let's see. Mary Chrysler. Let's see. Going back to YouTube here. I'm very disappointed about how does the Chinese keep their sword, but how does the Japanese keep their sword so well in culture? Weiwu, I think part of it is Japanese they cherish their swords. And the other thing is they made so many of them, and so many of them survive. And it's also the way, Chinese swords are usually riveted into the handle, so you can't swap them out like you can a Japanese sword. Did Chinese use their swords more than the samurai? Probably not. Once again, the sword is not a common weapon. Oftentimes, when we see in the movies, it's usually gentlemen or wuxia people who are using their swords. But how often do they actually use them? Probably not a whole lot often. Can we see the ones you aren't selling and why? Thank you. I bought a sword during your Thanksgiving sale. Awesome. Hey, Trevor Payne. Hey, Ryan. Merry Christmas to you. I think your sword is on the way, Ryan. Finally, at long last. I'm really sorry about how long it's taking. Happy holidays, Swift Vip. This is going to sound a bit strange, but I think I see some red or orange on a sword sheath behind you on the shelf directly in front of the picture painting. What is that? Do you mean up here or down here? So on the antique stand or on the floor stand? Yes, the Japanese believe that objects having spirits or sentiment, the Chinese treat them as a sword. Uh, you know, I think that really depends. What made you get into the sword business? I had too many swords, so my wife wanted me to get rid of them. Somehow I've ended up with more. I myself am waiting for an antique tanto to arrive. It's made by a smith Tomosata around 1536. Really excited and can't wait for it to arrive. That's awesome. Show us pictures when you're done, when you get it. So yeah, sword business. I basically am a fantasy author on the side, and so there was a time around, I think it was around 2018, where people were taking pictures of books for Instagram, and they were posing their books with, they were putting their books with coffee mugs and flowers. But I was like, I'm gonna put a sword, and so I got my first sword, and it just went downhill from there, or uphill depending on your point of view. Yeah. Any other questions, comments? Do you have Kill Bill's katana? We do not. When you have the time, I did DM you about furniture for that blade. I got it, Chad. I haven't forwarded it to Cloudhammer. I haven't had a chance. If you missed it, Chad, we had the shelving unit in one of our storerooms collapsed today while I was under it. Almost crushed me, but I got out in time. But then it took me like 3 hours to clean it out and everything. It was a real pain in the butt. So I didn't get a chance to to tell them all the things. Plus, I am trying to, design those swords. There are 2 more that I'm going to design for myself. There are 4 total, 2 that you bought one and another guy bought one. And so I'm going to get 2 with regular handguards on them. Let's see. Have you tried the custom katana from Hanbon Forge? I have not. Do you have any World War II Japanese military swords, like the Type 2 Gunto? We have one in shop that's made of railway steel, and I have this one. This is actually a family blade that is in Gunto fittings. Once I get the blade evaluated, if it turns out to be like a decent family blade, I'll probably put it in Shudasai. I'm not a real big fan of Gunto in general, but I do have this one. I bought a handmade kitchen knife, and since then I've been collecting Wakazashi and Chinese small swords. Cool deal. That is awesome. And happy holiday. Oh, it's John Smicka in the house. He's happy because I sold one of his swords today. Actually, we should say Scott sold that sword. It was one of Scott's people who came in from, and Scott sold it to him. Well, didn't sell it to him, but showed it to him, and so he came back to get it today. His wife let him buy it. Any metallurgic properties that are noticeably different from the different geological regions? Yeah, so there's an interesting theory about how Japanese swords changed over time, and how like the iron sand resources would get used up and the smiths would move, and so they had to kind of relearn how to make the right patterns based on the region they were in. That was a nice sword, like a piece of art. Let's see. Oh, is this Study the Arts? Is this Wade, who came in earlier today? Let's see. What is the best looking saya you got? I think that's all relative. Iron content. Impurities vary by region and iron purity. Yes, this is true, says Tengu, not Tengen. I meant to ask if Cloudhammer could get the type of tsuba I ordered through you and use that. It's not they won't use that because that particular tsuba is an alloy and they don't like to use alloy tsuba. Do you have a book recommendation about Japanese swords? Yes, Dan the Man. The Connoisseur's Guide to Japanese Swords is a must read. Let's see. Wei Wu, I have a question. Are you interested in long weapons like halberd, poleaxe, or spear, this type of thing? I am personally interested in them, but in terms of marketing, selling them, no, just because they're hard. The shipping is expensive. We are getting 2 naginata from China though. We're getting 2. Sup, my katana is arriving tomorrow. I'm hella excited. It's arriving on Christmas? That can't be right. But okay. What's the most expensive? The most expensive one I have here is this one for $15,000. This is my treasure. It is a sword that is between 650 and 800 years old, depending on who you ask. It is a very deep curve, and it is very long, which is the way I like my swords. I love watching my lives. Merry Christmas to you and the rest of the team. Thank you, Brandon Otis. Thank you. Just ordered the book off Amazon. Awesome, Dan the Man. Yeah. Good night, Darren Holmes. Merry Christmas to you. I don't know who Wade is. Sorry, Study the Arts. Wait, Wade? studied the art. Were you the one who came in today to the shop? So. Let's see. No, my bad then, study the arts. I ordered naginata. I'd only get it to trim my trees. Yeah, right? Naginata are cool, though. I mean, they are definitely cool. You know, I know that Scott is going to be really happy to have them just because his style does a lot of naginata training. For those of you looking for a basic entry-level sword, this is the Sea Dragon. It's kind of got that black and white look to it. And it is a T10 clay-tempered blade. I don't know how well you can see the hamon, but it does have a hamon to it. I'm just sort of showing things here since no one's asking anything. Let's see. After hearing that Spear's polearm comment, could you tell us what you know about Yari and made into tanto? Are they as common as naginata naoshi? Yari tanto, there are a few currently on the market. Yes, this is true. It is known. Who makes the swords at the shop you designed? It depends on what we're looking at. For design, the ones I design, I will usually go through Moritaka, Legacy Blades, Phoenix Arms, or Cloudhammer. So those are the 4 that I get designed for different purposes. Ryan says, so are some Gunto blades older blades with World War II fittings? Yes, yes. Or were most Gunto blades made in that era? I don't know the proportion, but there were so with Gunto there are called arsenal. There are arsenal blades, and those are blades that were machine made, oil quenched, very mass produced. Then they had Gendaito, which were actually people who made the swords in the traditional manner, and those were usually given to like important people. And then you had families, because a lot of the officers came from samurai stock, and they had their own swords, where they took their family swords and had them mounted as Gunto. So there are a lot of different types. Any hidden blade walking sticks? We do have some. Would Phoenix Arms do a custom? Would love a Tangdao with the furniture to match the Jian. A Tangdao to match the Jian. We could probably do that, Chad. We could probably do that. It'd probably be at the same price, about $300-ish. Sword of Gojian, that's the one. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, that's a super cool sword, right? I mean, it's like it's a couple thousand years old, and when they found it, it was perfectly preserved. Yeah, I'd love to have a sword. I'd love to get a hand of that. Can people visiting from out of town observe or join your Saturday class? Yes, Dan the Man. The person to talk to about that would be Scott, but he's generally very open to that. We have had some people to come train there. Just visiting from out of town. So definitely doable. Ooh. Any other comments or questions or anything I can show you here? I always love showing off swords. Can I see them and how much? I mean, there's 50, I counted, there are 50 swords in here. Is there any one you want to see in particular? Like here, I'll stand to the side so you can see things a little better. Plus we have these guys over here. Caught up against something. These are my Tachi and my Odachi and some of my favorite swords. It's the favorite Japanese swords, I should say, Japanese style swords. I'm about 3 or 4 states over, so it definitely wasn't me at your shop. Okay, my bad, study the arts. Any pretty Wakazashi you can show us? I can show you this one. This is a Osaraka Wakazashi in a cherry red. Anything in a Ming Dynasty. Hold on a second. So this is the Osaraka Wakazashi. This one, I'd love to show off how sharp this one is. I mean, this one basically... Oops. I'm screwing up there. There we go. Yeah, this one is a very razor sharp sword. A big fan of it. Osaraka Wakazashi. You were asking about Wakazashi. Let's see. A student may be acquiring the final Uekuni Uesugi Daisho. Let's see. Tell us the evolution of the sword. Oh my gosh, that's a long time. Do you know the eyebrow sword? Let's see. Let me see the kanji. Mei Jiandao. It's like a naginata, but basically they are the same and both developed in Japan and China at the same time. I'm not familiar with that. Let's see. Okay, all right, gonna catch up over here. Winter time for me, so time to switch to Chinese sword practice. Easier to do in the house. Do you know anything about the Suiseki school? Not a whole lot. I know of them, but I don't know a whole lot. Can you show the Dotonuki, please? Sorry, Steve, I just saw that. For those of you who don't know, Dotonuki are super popular as being big buff and big buff swords. This one is a straight Dotonuki. So you can see there's no curvature to it. It's very big at I think 81 centimeters. So it's like I like make fun of Tengu 190 over here on YouTube as basically, you know, liking big swords, but I actually I tend to collect big swords too, so I really can't make fun of them too much. So let's see. Anything from in the Ming Dynasty here? Nothing that you haven't seen, Chad. Why do you think so many antique Japanese swords survived compared to European? Dan the Man, what I'm hearing from HEMA practitioners and people who study European swords is that a lot of them are melted down for other purposes. Any rapier in the collection? I have foils up there. They're antique Spanish foils that I got from my father's estate. So those are technically my first swords. But I never really think about them that much. Could I see the sword at the top behind the door? This I don't even know if Cook still likes this sword or not compared to a lot of the other ones we have. This is a Ming Dynasty style sword. I don't know the name of the typology, but check the tip of that sword out. This is made of functional Damascus. It is a cloud hammer sword. I just love it. This is just it has a really cool Damascus pattern. Check out the fullers there and see how the fuller ends. There's a triangle fuller and a termination right there. So big fan of this sword. Let's see. If there was a Red Ming S5, I would already have it. Do you have any Hattori Hanzo steel? No. Any chance of another turtle katana coming to the shop? Missed out on the last one. Yes, Ryan, we are getting a turtle katana. It's going to be, we are getting, I think, two with two different ray skin colors. We're not getting the exact same colors, Ryan. We're kind of like, we only do like one color for those special swords so that everyone kind of has a unique look. Yo, sweet RVA Katana, you from Richmond? Yeah, we have a shop at 1909 West Carey Street. Come visit us. Y'all in the chat should get the Mount Fuji sword. It is beautiful, durable, and cuts through bamboo. Awesome. Sit des. Let's see. Wait, the Japanese have a bronze period. Why am I forgetting anthology? You were looking for something to talk about. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about that. I couldn't say it. Should do all four turtle colors. What four colors are those, Cook? I've actually seen some turtles with some interesting colors, but I'm doing mixes of greens, blues, and blacks right now. What was that reddish short sword? It was called a Wakazashi. Yes, that's an Osoraku Wakazashi. Osoraku is Osoraku. Osoraku. We have two types in stock right now, but we will be getting a couple more in the future. Oh, it's one of my favorite people. Follow Shiai Fu. He knows a lot more about swords than I do. He comments a lot on our posts. Really great guy, really knowledgeable. Orange, red, blue, and purple. Red, orange, blue, and purple. Oh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Boo hiss. I promise I'm Googling as I ask. I'm just always learned like a 4-year-old. That's good. That's a good thing. Learning, we should always strive to learn, in my opinion. Cook, you've seen this Ming Dynasty style sword, right? This is probably my favorite right now. It's a little on the small side, but it's a horseshoe saber, which is one of my favorites. We don't talk about that, Thomas Anthony. Not very cool. Let's see. This one is a horse-tooth saber. I don't know how well people can see the lamination. Some people will mistake it for a Japanese hamon, but it is not. I never got into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Have you ever gotten a Matsukaze from Tokensho? Are they reputable smiths? Yeah. Matsukaze is they're basically using modern steel, but making it in a Japanese manner with folding and everything like that. Actually, Tengu 190 here is one he told me about Matsukaze for the first time. Yeah, they're reputable. It's a reputable smith. It's not my thing. I'm not really big into it. Hold on. I need to respond. To me, if I'm going to spend $5,000 on a sword, it's going to be an antique. This is going to sound really bad, but I have very little interest in modern-made Japanese swords that is made in Japan. So I mean, yeah, it's like if you're gonna get a sword, why spend $5,000 on a newly made sword when you can get an antique for less? You know. That anyway, that's my personal philosophy. I mean, everyone has their own, but that's my personal preference. All right, people, I gotta go because we're gonna be watching Barbie. My daughters want to watch Barbie, and so we're gonna go check that out. John, I might have found my holy grail, early Qing Jian. Waiting for the pictures. Wow, that'll be amazing. Yeah, send those pictures. But be careful, Chad, because early antique Chinese swords are generally not very common and very expensive. If you're paying anyway, yeah. Let's see. So, all right, I am going to check out, but thank you again for joining in. And I hope if I don't see you, I probably will not be going live. So, wish you all a Merry Christmas, especially all our wonderful people here on TikTok who stay with us all the time, and to all our new friends here on YouTube, except for John Smick. I don't like you. So anyway, Merry Christmas, everyone, and see you guys probably the day after, which happens to be my birthday. Yay. So see you guys later. Bye-bye. Let's see. All right. Okay, see you guys later.